Welcome back to Motors and Medicine. On today's episode, I'm outside in the garage working on the Bronco. And so what we're going to be doing today is installing a set of lower control arms for the rear of the Bronco. As many of you know, with any live axle vehicle, truck, SUV, you typically have either a 3-link or a 4-link rear attachment to the rear live axle. In the case of the Bronco, it's got a 4-link rear end or a 4-link system attaching the rear axle to the actual structure of the body. And then there's a panhard bar which mitigates side-to-side motion of the axle. Now, what we're going to be focused on today is just replacing the lower control arms, because one thing I've noticed with this Bronco after owning it now for a couple years, over 2 years actually, I got it back. As you guys remember, I ordered it summer of 2020 during the pandemic, and I took delivery November of 2021. I've had it since then, and we're now, nearly done with 2024. What I've noticed driving this machine around both on the street and off-road is that because it's got a live axle, it tends to suffer from wheel hop, which is when the axle bounces up and down. It's hard to stop that from happening. Doesn't happen too often, but I definitely feel it occasionally when I try to push out of a corner, or if I, push the throttle hard from a stop, I can sometimes get a little wheel hop. Now, part of that is happening because the Bronco makes more power now compared to before. And I'm gonna be making a video talking about what the power numbers are and 0 to 60 and all that at a later time. But for right now, we're gonna focus on just getting rid of that wheel hop and also helping it with off-roading. So what I'm going to show you here is a lower control arm. This is what it looks like. I'll kind of zoom in. You can see it comes with grease fittings on both ends. So this part goes towards the front. This part locates towards the back. It's a very simple install. You reuse the factory hardware. And what I'm going to do next is just kind of show you underneath the Bronco where it goes, what the old one looks like, what the new one's gonna look like, and then we're gonna get going on removing the bolts and swapping it out. But basically it just comes down to that. This particular control arm is adjustable, so it's got a nut here that adjusts the length, and so you can adjust it if you have anywhere from 1 to I think 6 inches of lift. And so my Bronco, it doesn't really, it did come with the Sasquatch package, which lifted it a little bit above your stock Bronco. And then I added a leveling kit in the front. But beyond that, it doesn't have lift that's significant. So it's gonna be near the stock location. But what I'm gonna do is take the old one off and then just compare the two side by side and get this adjusted to the right length and then lock it down and then pop it into place. It's very easy to install. You basically just need a couple of wrenches, and I'm gonna use an impact tool so that I can zip off those bolts a lot faster. But you guys can do it with hand tools. It's not that difficult. And you want to do it with the Bronco on a level ground, and you don't want to lift it because that might affect the install of these control arms. But you basically want to do one side at a time, because if you take both off, then the axle can move, and that can make it a lot more difficult to put them in place. So I'm going to do one at a time, take one off, and then once I get this installed, I'll show you what it looks like installed, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to take a quick brief pause so I can get underneath the vehicle and show you what the current status is of the control arms and what the new one's going to look like in place. So we'll go to that point. All right. So now I'm situated underneath the Bronco. I'm going to pan the camera around so you guys can see what I'm talking about and kind of get an idea of what's going to be getting changed. So first off, you can see here, this is the rear differential right here. Here's your live rear axle, okay? This is what a control arm looks like, is right here. Let me adjust my camera. So this is the lower control arm right here, and the other one is right here. So what I'm going to be doing is taking this off. Now this is made out of just like flimsy, hollow metal, and I'm going to be replacing it with this, just like that. And so what this is going to do, this particular bar, it's a lot stronger, but it has polyurethane bushings on this side, and then heim joint bushing on the other side. So it's going to allow for better articulation off-road, but also just get rid of that wheel hop, because there's a lot of give that takes place in these rear control arms in the bushings. And so if you can get rid of that give in the bushings, you'll have a firmer planting of the rear wheels. And not only will it drive better on road, and now this thing already drives great on road, but it's going to drive better. And then, of course, off-road, it'll do even better than that as well. And, of course, because it's adjustable, this can be, if I do choose to lift the Bronco at a later time, this will correct that, and it can be adjusted to that point. So, again, this is what the control arm looks like right here. There's a bolt right up there and a bolt here. And all you have to do is just unbolt the nuts on the opposite side, pop these bolts out. This thing drops down, you put this in place. Well, actually, I'm going to measure the two to make sure that the length is exact, and then we'll go from there. So that's the next point that I'm going to go to, and we'll go to that point. All right, so now the next step, I want to compare the two side by side. So what I'm going to do here is just turn the camera so you guys can kind of see this. All right, so this is the original right here. You can see what the end looks like. It's basically just a, let's see if I can get the camera zeroed in on that. Okay. What it is here is just a rubber bushing with like a metal reinforcement here, right? On the other hand, this one is a polyurethane bushing right here. Let's see if you can see that. Hopefully I got you zeroed in. Okay. So this is a polyurethane bushing. This one is a lot more robust than this rubber bushing. It's not going to have the same kind of issues, flex issues. So now what I'm going to do is basically just loosen this, pull this to be the same length as this one, so it's exactly the same length. Then I'll reinstall it and we'll go from there. So we'll go to that point. All right. So I got the control arm installed. I'm going to go ahead and pan the camera over so you guys can see what that looks like. Installed. All right. Has grease fittings here on the bottom, so that way you can add some grease to this bushing and the bushing in front. But essentially that's what it looks like, the completed form. Hopefully you guys get a good view of that. Super strong, a lot stronger than the stock piece, a lot heavier duty, and there's no play in the bushings at all. When I took off the original, you could definitely get some play in there. And so these bushings are so solid, they're going to eliminate all that play. So it should be operating a whole lot better. It should eliminate all the wheel hop and any of the just that extra motion you get and deflection that you get in those bushings. So what I'm going to do now is just repeat the process on the other side and call it a day. So that pretty much concludes this video. And we'll get into some videos coming up here. First one being, I'm going to be testing the 0 to 60 in this machine to see how it does compared to what it did stock. And then we'll go from there. But I appreciate all your support. Give this video a thumbs up if you appreciated it. And if you guys haven't subscribed, please do so. It'll help the channel grow. And then I will see you guys on the next video. Till then, this is Motors and Medicine signing off. Have a good day. Thanks.